It is my sympathy with the past that all of it is forgotten. Danny made a video recently talking about the old structures being a form of propaganda, which he brings up a really good point. Um, and it's often what a lot of what Matt says as far as distraction. Um, but it goes even bigger than that. I think that's just one aspect of it. Nietzsche in Thus Spoke Zarathustra talks about his main rival and devil that he's fighting is the spirit of gravity. The spirit of gravity that brings everything to the grave has. I've tried to look for it before online to get the list of what the spirit of gravity does, but is responsible for the concepts of penalty and all stuff like that. Like basically, you know, kind of like a paymaster, right? Um, putting your infinite power and being which of life force, which you are God. When you experience God, it's not moral, it's natural, and it's just pure power. And it reduces it by um by confusing it, saying that there's like rules. And something I have to keep on reminding myself is like towards enlightenment, there's not like, because we're coming from the spirit of gravity being lord over the whole world, which is falling. The spirit of gravity, how can I describe it? The spirit of gravity was lord of the world that we were raised in, and it had us in the habit of we need to behave and be certain ways, um, because there's a paymaster, God looking over us, um, judging us all the time. And really, what it was is just a diversion. The Abrahamic come up with this concept of God looking over all of us, so that way they could belittle, especially the higher type, into confusion and and control us. It was basically like everything that we are, the naturally higher, more noble type, confusing us and belittling us and putting us with on the same level as these herd fleshy robots, these empty people that basically are content with just doing as they're told. Good little. So they're rewarded the most. I talk about this a lot. Lawyers never question if what they're doing is against the U.S. Constitution. Doctors never question if there's a better remedy out there. Um, if what they're doing is actually killing their patients. They just do as they're told. They're good little, as far as the system of the spirit of gravity, which pose as the all, um, it's really just surface level stuff. And our type, we've often suffered so much because there's something much deeper in us and we've been confused. Um, so example of the a personal example of the spirit of gravity and what Danny brings up as far as the past. Recently, I made good with my mother, which has always been my biggest. Which I'm now back at her place. Um, People ask me, "What's your favorite thing about no longer being outside? Is it shower, or whatever?" And I said, "No, it's actually that's probably second, but it's like the new relationship I have with my mother. It's like Danny has brought up. Um, it's like a natural process that we're going through. And like Nietzsche said, mankind is to be overcome, which is not the same thing as overleapt. You have to go through. Um, I really, really struggled with it for so long, and I had this. As far as my mother, it was popping in my head like 3 days before, but I was like real tired. I was, and I took a nap in front of like a bunch of people at the park where I was staying, and I was under the sun. And I speak of the sun before, how it's this place is a feedback loop, and being under the sun for 2 hours, I just woke up and said, you know what, now's the time. I called her. She's, you're just a freaking idiot like everyone else. You don't know, and it's my sympathy with the past. All of it is forgotten, and yeah, what it is like, say, in this crazy world, that the spirit of gravity was um, running. Um, she was just doing it according to her understanding what was good. And what was good, if you really look at clearly, what the Hebrews found power in, because they had been running everything, was just denying everything, just saying no, no, no. It was a low tide going out. It was a uniformed. They found power in this uniform of denying life. Um, you're guilty for existing, shame on you for everything. Your ultimate goal is death, aka heaven. It was just saying no, no, no. Lust, right? No, even though we all have it. Anger, right? It's a natural occurrence. No, 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 no. That's how they gain control over everything. No, 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 no. And they look to reestablish themselves by like things like virtual signaling and the whole pandemic. Uh, you know, it's same thing as the rest of the Abrahamic, Christianity, Judaism, Islam. It's just a constant no, 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 no. That's what we've been. That's our biggest enemy, is overcoming this no, 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 which was running everything. And with um, the past, right? We have to forget all that because it was just saturated, all the concepts, like things like the past, and also uh, other aspects. Like last night, I went out for a walk, and a friend of mine taking an Uber because he now lives kind of far away, to the area where I hang out, and I didn't know that. But anyways, he wanted to chill with me, and I just was not in the mood to chill. And he just kind of like, guilt tripped me, like, oh man, I came all the way out here to hang out with you, okay, all this stuff. Which, you know, our type, we're different than the rest of them, but with such, things as like, oh man, oh God. If I would have went with that, that would have belittled my core essence. Um, I'm trying to describe it. That would have, that's like a, say, like, so much of the good and things like being tricked uh, by the social systems um, that was established under the spirit of gravity. Uh, if I would have allowed myself to be ruled over by such things, I mean, pretty much every example of normal life is an example of this spirit of gravity um, trying to rule over you. Like I said, the spirit of gravity is responsible for penalty and penance, and you know, like there's like some sort of paymaster, and it's like, oh well, if I don't hang out with him, then I'm a bad friend and all that stuff, and it's all bullshit. Um, Being around others because they're most people are little people, especially the successful people. They really depend on the spirit of gravity to have control. Because if ones like us wake up from the spirit of gravity, then we can then fly, and we're no longer under the domain of the spirit of gravity and the little people, which depended on the spirit of gravity to say no to us, um, and basically feed off of our system. Like when you're around most people, the ability to be in touch with the divine, to be the divine, and the pure power and possibility is diminished because they always want you to be uh, placed in your chair between pro and con. That's part of the spirit of gravity. It's good and evil. You know, it's the whole pay system, the concept of a god on a cloud ruling over you. You know, were you a good friend, and or did you say no to someone that like came out to just see you? You know what I mean? It's a feeding off of you. Um, One of the things too is, say with history, I have this funny feeling that like, we were told like this the ruler types needed the slaves. But I have this funny feeling that the slaves actually need the ruling type. Like basically it was like the concept of like rulers and then like slaves. Like the rulers like fed off of the slave energy. But no, I think we might have been tricked that the slaves needed the rulers and they just distorted the story somehow. Like, yeah, there's a lot about history, like hologram, no, holocaust. Um, I do pay a lot of too much attention, but like, to like say the Ukraine situation and the Abrahamic media, it, I mean, it does seem like whenever the West does something really messed up, they just repackage the story and said the Russians did it. So yeah, what I'm saying is like the spirit of gravity, including the past and everything, um, is just BS. And Danny's got a point to forget it. And also to like the whole social structure. And one of the things is like when I'm like really in touch, because I go through times where I'm in touch with it, and like I notice like especially with my eyes, they move freely. My whole body then moves freely, and but normal life with good society, it keeps you rigid. It's like, oh, I need to look over here because I'm supposed to. We got to break free of um, these rules. We need to break free of everything, and so the memory, like Danny points out a lot, like the memory is full, and the memory does the like say using the metaphor as of computers or whatever. And Earth is a motherboard, Mother Earth. Um, and with this new age coming in, which is like the software program, say we were on Windows 8 and now we're going to Windows 9, we do need to flush all that out. And one of the things like I noticed this morning is, because I've been real stiff lately, is just turning my head a lot. And I hear this like cracking in my neck, and it's like I'm loosening, you know, the the tension that the spirit of gravity had me rigid in, and so I think that's gonna be like a new ritual of mine. We just at least do this and every morning. Um, you know, things with like synchronicities and all that stuff. I mean, it's now my experience becoming more and more that my experience is becoming more and more mystical, and uh, trying to share it with others is just a waste of time. I mean, that's from the spirit of gravity's world, that you're supposed to bring something back to the hive, and the hive just does not understand it. Um, so I'm able to influence more and more, even world events, but also at the same time, though, too, we get our type get like we've been getting kind of stuck. We go through high highs and low lows, and that's one of the reasons why we are the naturally noble higher type. I the way I see it as far as the hierarchy goes is people that are higher up on the hierarchy. Um, First off, you've been the spirit of gravity world try to do everything it's possible to uh, convince them that they're losers. Because the spirit of gravity world, basically, the more compliant, stupid, and hollowed out you are, the more you got rewarded, and that surface system is on its way out. The naturally noble type, the higher up you are, I see it as just vibration. The ability of consciousness to go high up and go deep, deep. Um, so we know our valleys very well, but we are about to experience our height. Our, I should really find that that part where Nietzsche speaks about the spirit of gravity in this book Zarathustra. But how long is this video? All right, well, hopefully I introduced some new concepts and I'm not just repeating the same shit. But yeah. Oh, back to the so I'm able to experience be able to influence my environment and people and the world more. But at the same time, though, too, I'm being saturated more with the environment and people. So, say with the tension that, like, recently, like, I kind of got um, the past few days is not only like the reality as a whole, where I'm molding in and it's molding more into me, not just the reality. It's like the reality, the fabrics of reality are being stitched into our inner being. Um, so we can influence it, but also everything that goes on in the reality, we feel it more too. It's just part of the process. Uh, so not only say like recently, like it kind of tense or whatever, it's not just from the reality, but also say being back near my mother's, some of the memory of what really fouled me up before, um, those aspects being stitched because now like I'm more accepting and ready to move on, being stitched in my inner being, so that way I can change. When it's stitched, it's a painful process, and for a second you're kind of like stunned, but then once it's stitched, and that's when it's influencing you. Then you can influence it, and you can do miracles. Like you can profoundly change just with your inner dialogue, um, the way this reality behaves. Even once you break free of the spirit of gravity, concepts, which is, just lies. Like basically, well, you reap what you sow, right? I brought this up before. You reap what you sow. But why would that have anything to do with the morality? And you look at the morality, it's just bullshit. It's just to keep you slave and weak and confused. Just like the propaganda that Danny brings up with the old structures. It's just to keep you unaware that you can actually be a god here.